Hey there, did you know I love Doomfist? Now listen, in a game where you can play a time traveler, a super soldier, and one of the many cool robots, a witch with magic, and many other people with super cool futuristic tech, I chose a guy who has one really big fist that just punches the fuck out of people. Listen, to play Doomfist, you have to have a certain mindset, and that mindset is to just think like Doomfist. Here's what I mean by this. A quote that Doomfist says quite often, and that is in my Instagram bio, is only through hardship do we find strength. Now when you pick Doom and hear this the first time, you might not take this too much into account because you just want to play the game, but you can't just play the game as Doom. You see, Doom is one of those characters that completely changes the way you play. And I can already hear people saying, but Mr. Doomfist Glazer, every character in Overwatch offers a different playstyle and way to look at things. Now, I would normally agree with this, as each character is a little different from one another, but there are two characters who I believe take that to a whole nother level of fuck the norm, I'ma do my own thing, and that is Doomfist and Ball. Now I personally suck at Ball. I can't actually make plays or do what I want with him, but his skill expression is unfathomably high. I mean, have you seen some people play this character? Some people can take Ball and do the craziest things with him. But that's not who I want to talk about. I want to talk about Doom. Now Doom is special because he has always been a controversial character, with people often being upset to play with a Doom and or against a Doom.
Stop queuing, I don't want to play with you anymore, or play against you anymore. It's insane, bro. It's actually insane.
That's gotta be.
But playing Doom is such a very different feeling. Now at first, when you play him with no knowledge of how his kit works and how to play him effectively, he seems like he just lacks any survivability, with having no shields or armor and not even having a lot of health compared to a lot of the other tanks. But you see, there's a reason he's like this, and I'm going to go more into depth on his kit to help you understand. Doomfist's kit consists of a power block, which can charge his fist to make him do a more powerful super punch. He has his normal punch, that which is just a power thrusted punch, that which can knock anyone back, unless they're in a Junkrat trap in which they will stay where they are. His seismic slam, that which launches him into the air, causing him to slam his fist down and crack the ground a little in front of him, hitting anyone who is in front of him that is not behind cover or a shield. His ultimate is called Meteor Strike, and while in Meteor Strike, he heals himself and his cooldowns are shortened. But when he comes back down, he slams into the ground, similar to his seismic slam, and slows down everyone he hits with his Meteor Strike. And if he lands directly on top of them, he has a chance to kill them or deal a considerable amount of damage. His gun that he comes with is his hand cannon. It's a little shotgun that shoots from his knuckles, with it often being used to confirm kills. Now, the most important part of his kit is his overshield. Now you see, Doomfist has a passive that when Doomfist hits someone with one of his abilities, he gains overshield, for it allowing him to take essentially free damage. Now, it does deplete over time, so it kind of forces you to utilize it as soon as you can or as quickly as you can. Now, everything in his kit is a movement-related ability minus block. And arguably, the most important thing to him is his movement. Now you see, all Doomfist's abilities generally move him in the direction that he is looking, with his punch pushing him forward and anyone he punches away from him, but has no vertical movement at all. His slam, however, can go anywhere and generally is the better movement option out of the two abilities, hence why it doesn't do a lot of damage and has a slightly longer cooldown than his punch. Now let me tell you this now that you know his kit and that he is based on movement. You need to know this. I cannot express this enough. This guy needs you to focus and think about your cooldown management. Listen, I know a lot of other characters don't really need you to focus on your cooldown management, and everyone should at least consider their cooldowns, but let's be honest, not a lot of people do. So many times, I've seen so many Doom players dive in with nothing but their block and 4-round shots left, and pathetically try to block to get their punch back, But if the enemy team is good enough, they'll just know not to shoot you or just flat out break through your block by hitting you with a literal nuke. Just learn to play around cover, wait for your team because this is a team-based game after all, and manage your cooldowns so you can at least, at the bare minimum, try to get the hell out of there when you're dying. Hey, let me tell you something. Doomfist has tech. Oh my god! Now listen, I ain't gonna tell you all the niche techs that he has, because trust me, he has a lot. And some of them I don't even use a lot. I'll just tell you the ones I find the most useful. His rollout tech. Now you see, if you use another one of Doomfist's abilities while using another one, it can cancel the other out. So if you charge a punch then use your seismic slam at the right time, it will launch you forward, and you will keep the speed and momentum from the original punch you threw, allowing you to get launched out of spawn at high speeds and get to the point really quickly. And you can use this for more than just rollouts. Aw man, pesky Widow eating away at your team's heads one by one? Are your healers complaining because your DPS are unable to kill her? Well, now, with Doomfist's new rollout tech, you can launch yourself into the enemy backline so quickly to where the enemy team doesn't even have time to notice you and instantly delete their enemy Widow. Just be careful, because while doing this, too many times can cause some counter swaps on the other team to make your day worse. Now that's all I got for tech. I ain't no tech master teacher. If you want some tech master teacher, go study Zebra, get quaked on. I'm not as good as explaining as they are. I do the same thing, I go and study them anyway. But by the way I'm describing this guy, you might think he's the best character in the game. Well, let me tell you, he's probably the worst and has always been in C tier, not so long after his release. You see, they had a hard time balancing this guy in Overwatch 1, so they would just nerf him a lot and make him really hard to play. Not to mention, he was already a rare choice because his playstyle was so much different from everybody else's, and with him remaining in C tier until the end of Overwatch 1 would make for a rough start for Overwatch 2, as the exact same thing happened for the exact same reason. He was really hard to balance, he's either way too strong or just meh, not strong enough to compete as well as the others do, but not weak. Don't get me wrong, this guy is not weak at all. People take him up to top 500 all the time. He's just very, very punishing, unlike many of the other tanks that are given much, much more wiggle room. But the whole reason why Doomfist is the way he is because, well, he can just kinda... kill people. He's like a big beefy DPS hero. That is his kit. He is meant to go for backlines. It's also why it's hard for him to support his team unless they're, well, diving with him. He doesn't have a big shield and he isn't as big as others for your teammates to hide behind, and he doesn't offer much to make his team stronger to allow them to make a play. But that doesn't mean there's nothing he can do. He has the ability to punch people out of ults so he can save his team if his punch is timed right, and can block certain ults if timed right with his power block. Doomfist is a dive character. That means he goes for the supports. And you see, this game lives and dies by the supports. Just like most competitive games like this, if you kill the enemy supports first, oh boy, does it suck for the enemy team. And when I said Doom is for the backlines, I meant it. He dives the enemy supports, and if the enemy DPS and tank don't care to turn around, healing gets cut off as the healers have to heal each other and try to fight a whole tank as well. And if the Doomfist is good, he can kill both of them and join the team fight back fairly quickly. Now the only downside to this scenario is that you'd be leaving your team alone for however long it takes you to kill their enemy supports, and you might get some mean comments in the all chat sent to you by the enemy healers. That which brings me to my next point, counterplay. Doom, being as good as he sounds right now, gets countered a lot, and pretty easily. If he can't be flexible enough around them, then he's just going to have a hard time playing against them. So I'm going to give you the most common counters for this guy if you just want to make his day a living hell. You know how I just said this guy lives and dies by his abilities and cooldowns? Let me show you the terrible team of misfit counter swappers. Hog, Mei, Sombra, Ana, Zen, Lifeweaver, Brig, Baptiste, Kiriko, Cassidy, Orisa, and sometimes Junkrat and Hazard. Let's start with Hog. He has a hook in his Hog pen that slows you down. But you see, that's not the worst part. It's the hook. Were you blocking? Guess what? You're not now. Oh, you're using your movement abilities to get away? No, you're not. Get back here. You see, if the hog is good, he can just hook you and just make you stop doing whatever it is that you were doing. And if his team is smart, they will capitalize off the hook and make quick work of you, no matter what you were doing. Mei is not that crazy of a counter, but a counter nonetheless. Any character that limits Doom's ability to move and get around hurts him heavily, and Mei can use her wall to stop him from pushing certain angles or stop a punch that was meant to hit her whole team. Not to mention, her whole ult can freeze him and his team. Overall, just makes it generally a little bit harder to play, but not the worst thing that can happen. Zen is kind of a double-edged sword, as you give up a lot of other things like movement and healing to deal more damage with Discord, making it harder for the Doom to push or move in the open, as it could be incredibly harmful to the Doom. Depending on the team composition, of course. But just be careful, Doom can still dive onto that Zen, and sure, he has a kick to kind of push him away, but it's not far enough away, so the shotgun that Doom has is still in the most effective range for him. Ana. Now, Ana is a good counter to Doom, as if the Ana can sleep dart to Doom, she can ping her whole team that he is asleep and kill him pretty quickly. Her anti-nade is also just good for any character or tank to stop them from healing, but this combined with the sleep dart can make her a threat to diving Dooms or any diving character in any scenario, just because it can ward them off and scare them off, keeping them farther away from her. Lifeweaver and Baptiste are good for their ability to just stop their teammate from dying and saving them from the Doom, leaving the Doom usually with little to no abilities to get out of there and making his whole dive worthless as he couldn't kill anyone, almost forcing him to retreat to get their cooldowns back. Kiriko is almost the same as the last two, but also 3 times harder to kill, as she can teleport away to her teammates if she's getting dived, and has Suzu, that which makes her and anyone else that it just so happens to grace invincible to any damage for a second and cleanses them all. Oh, and she can also wall climb to get out of certain situations. Cassidy, with his stun grenade, makes it so it takes away all of your movement abilities, and with his high damage pistol he has the ability to make quick work of other players and you as the Doomfist players. The only thing you're left with is your block, so I would suggest just timing it, just to make sure you can block as most damage as possible. Ursa is a pretty good matchup for Doom, as she can throw her spear, causing his block to be broken through and stopped. She can also fortify herself and make it so that your punches can't even push her back. She also gets a little bit of overshield when she fortifies, that which can help her tank the punch. And as well as her spear spin ability, she can push Doomfist even farther back, making it so the space that he just tried to take was essentially nothing. Britt can be good because she can help ward him away from diving, as that's literally what she's meant for. And she also has her own dash, that which if she dashes at the right time, she can block Doomfist's dash and stun them both, causing them both to fall on the floor. And with her mace whip, she can push him away from the other support, not to mention she heals in a good sized area just by hitting people, so she can heal the other support by only attacking you. It makes it really hard to focus on the other support, and it makes it hard to kill the Brigitte because 1, she's healing from her own attacks from hitting you, and she's getting healed from the other support. Junkrat and Hazard are kind of like, as Junk can trap him, but that's only if he's stupid enough to not see the Junkrat trap that's on the floor, that which makes him unable to do anything besides block and shoot. And Hazard's kind of the same way, except he has to use his whole ult to do so. Sure, he has the wall, but it's just not as effective as Mei Wall. Yeah, it will push you back if you try and touch it, but it doesn't last as long and is just not as good as a Mei Wall. Now Sombra really hurts Doom, as her hack takes away everything from him and his abilities and movement. Not to mention, she can hit him with a virus while he's like this, and her teammates deal more damage against the enemy player while they're hacked, so Doom can die almost instantly if hacked and focused at the right time. Not to mention, you can't even tell when she's coming to hack you when she's invisible, so you're left to just being clairvoyant or having some crazy reflexes to be able to stop her hack in the 1 second window you're given. Or else, it's all over. It's like the #1 counter pick, and if the Sombra's good enough, she can just ruin anything the Doom does. Not to mention, last but not least, her hack makes it so your block is instantly shut down, oh, you're blocking, you just started your block, it usually lasts for, what is it, 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds? Guess what? It's gone now because Sombra hacked you. Don't know why Doomfist can't have his fist up while he's hacked, but apparently his arm just becomes limp. Now you could say picking any flying character could make it hard for a Doom to play, but Doom can practically fly himself, so if you're good enough, you can just start punching bars out of the sky anyway. But the Doom can still work around all of this and play around all this, so you just need to be careful and don't think picking these characters are the end all be all of your worries. If he is good enough, he will be able to push through it, albeit having much less of a fun time he would have playing against a normal team, now that it's just counter picks. Hey buddy, you like forcefully misplacing the enemy team? Let me show you some cool maps. Doom with his punch knocks people back, and he can push people off maps and make them die to falling. And the best part is they can't do the same to you as long as you time your cooldowns correctly. Just because, you know, you just jump back up. Making for some pretty fun and interesting environmental kills and some pretty cool play of the games. Alright. With all this talk, you probably get the gist of why I like this character, but that's the whole reason why I wanted to talk about him. I see a lot of people say he's easy to play and a dumb character, and how he's overall just the worst, but I don't think that. I wanted to try and show why we as Doom players do what we do and attempt what we attempt. You know, he's been proven to have one of the highest skill ceilings in the game, and I think what every Doom player just wants to do is try and reach that ceiling. Anyways, as they say, meteor strike that sub button and like button if you like the video and wish to see more like this in the future. This is your friendly neighborhood Doomfist enjoyer, punching my monitor after Sombra hacked me for the 1 millionth time.